Welcome to the Self-Storage Show, where I have conversations with my industry friends, talk with owners and vendors, and share tales about my management company, 3 Mile Storage. Let's go. Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning into the Self-Storage Show. Hey, right at the top, I want to talk about something that's really valuable. You don't want to miss out on it. It's 3 Mile Domination. What this is they optimize your Google business profiles, okay? And we all know for self-storage, we live and die by our rentals. I guarantee you, if you don't have your profile optimized, you're losing out on rentals every single day. So go to 3miledomination.com. Right now, they are doing free audits of your profile. You'll see the big red button right there. Book your free audit right now. Book a time. We'll go through your Google profile optimization session in real time together. Send you back reports. So you have an action plan. It's very valuable. Okay. So again, go to 3miledomination.com and book your audit right now. Hey everyone, this is Jim Ross from the Self-Storage Show. In this episode, I got a great guest that we just met not too long ago, so I'm glad you're able to jump on here. I got Faraz Hemani. How's it going?
Hey Jim, I'm doing all right. How about you?
Not too bad. You keep them busy, so at least that's better than being bored all day long. So it's all good. Keeping things going. Anyway, I was looking at things, online, kind of looking at some people to interview because I want to talk to more owners and operators and things like that. And you came across my radar here with Pebble Ridge Capital and Iron Storage. I'm like, all right, we got to chat for a minute. We had a little preliminary chat. And like after a few minutes, I'm like, okay, you got to come on the storage show. You got a story to tell. So I'm glad you're able to make the time to come on.
Thank you, Jim. And like I told you, if you give me 20 to 30 minutes to just geek out about storage, I'm going to take that chance every single time. So if anything, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we'll geek out here. So anyway, if you don't mind, just kind of give us a little Cliff Note version of who you are real quick and how you got into storage, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. So my name is Faraz Hemani. I'm the founder and one of the partners here at Pebble Ridge Capital. We are a private equity company focused on self-storage and commercial real estate. I only got started about 2 years ago doing this full time. I've been involved in real estate in some form or fashion for several years. I used to work in tech. My life before this, I actually used to work at Google. Was not one of the brainiacs in the room at Google. I was one of the dumber sales guys over there selling the stuff that the brainiacs did. But I had a great time over there. And, I got involved in real estate, buying single family rentals, buying things that I thought would help me in my retirement as I ride out the rest of my 30, 40 years career working in tech. And the market had different plans. The market did really, really well for single family rentals during COVID. The value of those homes blew up. I got the luxury of being able to work from home, which meant I could focus my time on some things that were not specific to my job there at Google. One thing led to another, and found myself going deeper and deeper and deeper into real estate. This area I was fascinated with, specifically was drawn to self-storage because of how operationally intensive it is. And that's really all we did, in tech and at Google all day long. I was working in ops, working in programs, working in how can we tweak this 5% to increase revenue, and how can we tweak this 2% to gain more customers. And that is exactly what storage was about. And jump full time into storage. I'm a private equity platform, means we raise money to buy storage facilities. And in the year and a half that we've been doing storage, we've acquired 15 facilities, have 10 more set to close through the end of the year, and have had an absolute blast doing it.
That is, talk about meteoric rise. That's insane. Just in a couple of years, that's crazy having that kind of growth, man. That's, first off, congrats. And secondly, I'm jealous. That's amazing. So that's really cool. Because if nothing else, that's why I want to have you on specifically, talk about this kind of thing, because the opportunities are there. I hear some people sometimes going, that opportunity's passed by. It's not like it's not for me anymore. I missed my window. It's like things are different. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Things are a little bit different. Sure. But there's always that opportunity. Find your lane, find the right thing to get going. You're proof of that. That's amazing, dude.
No, 1,000%. I appreciate that. And thanks for the kind words. I will say, the way I said it in that first 2-minute summary makes it sound really easy. Like, yeah, I just quit and bought 15 facilities. No, it was hard as all hell. Like to give you some context, we bought that first facility in January 2022. I didn't buy another property for another 8 months. And during that time, and for the first 15 to 16 months, it was 90, 100-hour weeks. It was brutal, tears, why did I leave my job? Am I stupid? Did I just walk away from the greatest thing ever to jump into something that's just hard? And oh my God, interest rates went up at the worst time. Like this was the worst time to jump in. And at a certain point, you can either do what a lot of people say, Jim, and just, oh my God, it's so hard right now. It's difficult. It's, the times have changed. And or you can find a way to make it work, regardless of what kind of cards are thrown in front of you. And there's an opportunity when a lot of people start to quit because it gets too hard. That's your opportunity to find a way to make it work and then savor the fruits of your labor a couple of years from now.
Yep. Yeah, so many people are like they're that close to finally getting over the hump. They just give up. I'm like, oh, you were so close. So no, that's amazing. So I'm just kind of curious, since you brought it up, kind of that first site and that many hours. What were you doing? Just learning the operations. Were you having a lot of capital expenditures, or kind of what were you doing for that first location?
Yeah, the very first site we bought was listed online. It was on LoopNet, which, for those who are not familiar, it's like the Zillow for commercial real estate. That was maybe 50 minutes outside of where I live. I'm here in Houston, Texas. So that was about 50 minutes south of Houston. I wanted a facility that I could drive to, I could get out to if something went wrong, because I didn't know the business yet. I mean, I had researched storage for about a year, and I talked to some other operators and did a lot of homework before I jumped in. But, you can only do so much. There's no substitute for actually just doing the thing. Despite that 1 year of trying to research before I jumped in, I probably still learned 80% of everything I know about storage after buying that first facility, through the mistakes and through having to deal with the operations. And I was fairly hands-on on that first one. So at the time, now today I have the luxury of having a team of folks to help me. At that time, I was the one buying the property. I was the one answering the phone when tenants called. I was making collections calls. I was driving to the facility every weekend to sweep the driveways, to do turnovers. I mean, I was doing everything. And that was by design. I wanted to learn the business. I wanted to be hands-on. So the first 3 or 4 months, I was doing pretty much everything possible related to the operations of that facility. And I learned a ton from it.
So I love that, because those are the kind of stories and type of owners that I'd love to deal with, because you understand from the ground level, really, of getting your hands dirty of what it takes. It's not just I am a storage owner and people are just going to call, I'm going to rent these spaces and it's all good. Like, there's so much more that goes along with it. It's those, you touched upon earlier, it's those little 2% and 5% tweaks here and there that it might be little, but that's what makes all the difference in your operations.
Oh yeah,
you have to know what those steps are, really be able to know what to focus on. So again, I'll just compliment you again. The fact that you did that, that's amazing, because it gives you great perspective on operations.
Absolutely. And I would say to any new owner, if you're not willing to go put in that level of work and effort up front, because people make everything sound easy online, these podcasts, everyone's like, yeah, it was a breeze. It's difficult, especially storage compared to a lot of other asset classes. Is probably the most operationally intensive form of real estate. So if you're not willing to go there and learn the operations A to Z and do it yourself, if you're just going to sit back and think, yeah, just rent these units, this and that, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. Go ahead and just call Jim, pick up the phone and have him manage your property. It's not easy to manage this stuff on your own unless you're willing to put in the work and do it properly, especially in today's environment. I mean, you have to be a good operator to make deals work today. So it's a lot more challenging than people would let on.
Of course. I'm just kind of curious where I keep going back to this first site, but that's where it all began. So what were some of the challenges that kind of like slapped you in the face that were kind of a wake up call that you saw going through operations? Anything come to mind?
Yeah, tons of them. Dealing with break-ins, dealing with your roof is leaking, and dealing with, at a given site, you might have, a smaller site might have a little, like close to 100 customers, bigger site may have several hundred customers, and you're dealing with human issues like picking up the phone and having people sob in tears to you that, with a really, really sad story about why they can't make their payment. And you as, a human being want to listen and want to help, but you have hundreds of customers. You hear something like that, like 20 times a month. How do you deal with that? And someone's drunk and ran through your gate, and someone just backed into the side of your building. These are all stories. Like, these are things I dealt with all in the first 3 months of running this thing, when I was taking all the calls by myself and realized, like, oh my God, this is a little bit harder than people let on. But those are the kind of things you deal with, the challenges you deal with. But the nice thing about it is if you do it long enough and you've seen the same problem at least a couple of times pop up, if you think through it, sit down, you can build a system around almost any problem to be able to address it, right? That's the goal, I think, of a good operator. You don't want anything to catch you by surprise. You do this long enough, you're going to see 99% of the problems that might exist out there. And your goal as an operator is, how can I build a system so we have a plan in place to address this problem where I don't have to think and reinvent the wheel every time I see this problem happen and pop up?
Yep, no, that's perfect. So as you guys have been going through this and growing as fast as you have, I mean, obviously you have to have the systems in place to be able to grow that fast. Otherwise, it's going to go fall apart real quick. So I imagine you've been getting, and it's one of those things like you just set it and forget it. You're probably always kind of dialing it in, getting systems and updating all that kind of stuff to make sure the foundation is built correctly.
Yeah, 100%. When I first started, my background, like I said, was in tech. So I loved being able to tinker with the systems and how can we do this a little better? And oh, wouldn't it be cool if we could see all this data in one place? And probably to a fault, to be honest, right? Because one thing that happens, you get so in love with playing and tinkering with your systems, you forget about like actually going and executing. I see this like a lot on the acquisition side when it comes to buying new facilities. People love to make, I'm going to put this plan together for how I'm going to cold call these owners and send them automatic letters and follow up on this, after 3 days, we're going to send them this message and that message. And I'm going to get this call script down, and you tinker so much that you never actually go and do the work of like, let me just go and start reaching out to these people. And so I know I was guilty of that, a little bit, but I would say this, your goal in the very beginning is just like get everything right? Don't worry about having the perfect system on day one. First, go in, do the work, understand what kind of problems you're going to have, deal with it on a case-by-case basis. And as you get a little more mature, you get a few months in and you're like, okay, I see this thing is happening every single month. Let's put something together to address it. So, there's that phrase, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. I forget what boxer has that. So that's kind of what storage is like.
Tyson.
Right? Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what storage is like. To get punched in the face a few times and then, figure out how you're going to counter after that.
No, that's fantastic. That's great. So as you've been, going through taking your lumps on this first side and building the foundation, and you're rolling up and scaling up here, kind of talking about that journey, how you guys acquiring new sites, how you growing your portfolio. It's kind of what's the goals here.
Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, it's been challenging. That's no secret. We jumped in January of 2022. 5 months later, interest rates started going up, and it's been a really, really tough market. Our bread and butter has largely been, especially at the beginning, off-market acquisitions. And so that means finding ways to reach out directly to the owners of storage facilities at scale. I mean, you have to reach out to hundreds and hundreds, thousands of these people to find, a couple of workable deals and suitable deals. Yeah. And the goal and the strategy there is just try to go through, find the needles in the haystack, where you find the one or two sellers that have what we call that urgency factor. There's something that in their life or something happening where they kind of do need to sell, or they're looking to get out, whether it's retirement or whether that's financial situation that they may be in. Or we bought one from a guy recently, just with last month, where he was looking to buy a trucking company and he needed to free up $1 million to be able to make the payment that was coming up in a few months to be able to execute that purchase. So he said, if you can get me this price, and close in 45 days, this, you can have my facilities. And so you got to find something like that. And that's really the only way to kind of make things work in today's landscape. You can't just buy stuff at market rate. You got to find someone who's got some urgency to be able to sell to you below what that asset likely should be trading for. And so that's what we've been doing. It's been tough. It's like banging your head against the wall a lot of times in today's market. But the goal is to continue to do that. And hopefully the market gets more favorable so we can do it at scale. And we want to just achieve a level of scale as an operator. We want to keep buying these things. We're getting better and better as every month goes by at operating these things. And I think that the larger we grow, that's just the more data that we have internally on what's a good buy and how to run the property properly. And our team is getting sharper and sharper and sharper. So we want to leverage that. We want to own 100 of these facilities, over the next few years, and, just continue to use that as a place to showcase our operational expertise and ultimately make money for ourselves and our investors. We feel like we're good at this. We feel like we're really, really good operators. I think that's the side of the business we like more than anything else. And we want to continue to leverage that.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. You got the plan working. It's obviously working for you as you're growing this. I'm curious, like when you're getting investors and investing in the portfolio, is this something you want to talk about here on this platform, be able to direct people to somewhere to go to get more information?
Yeah, absolutely. So
You're
I'm
here, you might as well. So
yeah, no, I'll take the plug. Yeah, no problem.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely take the plug. No, our website, you can find us at pebbleridgecap.com. And I'm pretty active on LinkedIn and Twitter. You can look up my name there. But no, it's been awesome. So funny story. When I started in January 2022, I didn't really even know what the word syndication meant. I never heard that word before. Really,
Wow.
so when I told you guys, when I first started, I was buying single family homes in Austin, Texas. That's where I used to live when I was working in tech at the time. And it was a couple of family friends of mine that were putting up a lot of the money. I was young, in my early 20s. I was getting some bonuses from, closing big deals and having some sales in my sales role, but I didn't have the money to go scale up a big portfolio of these. I had a couple of family friends also putting in money.
Hmm.
So was doing a syndication, but I never heard the word syndication. I didn't know that's what that was. When we sold a bunch of those properties, then we had all these capital gains left. We said, where do we redeploy the money? So then we put that into commercial real estate, into self-storage, and even some other types of asset classes very, very early on.
Yeah, yeah.
And we said, okay, well, some of these assets are way bigger. I think we need to get some more people in the fold if we want to be able to put the money down. So those family friends of mine engaged some of their friends. They engaged some of their friends. Next thing you know, a couple months in, I have 20 different people investing with me. That's when I said, okay, I think I need to leave my job and work on this full time.
Oh,
And since then, from that date to today, we now have about 70 individual investors who've worked with us, across multitude of transactions and deals. All of our deals have been hitting and exceeding projections. The one thing that's kind of the gift and the curse, and every operator knows this today, or the balance you have to find, is everyone's a deal junkie. You want to buy more deals, but they have to be solid deals, especially if you're a young operator taking other people's money for the first time. I mean, you have to treat that with respect, and you really, really want to knock it out of the park and do a great job for them. So you want to buy the highest caliber and quality of deals, even if that means you're kind of just sitting on your hands for months at a time, waiting for those deals to pop up. But that's what the experience has been like. I'm really, really grateful that we found the momentum we have with finding new investors and working with them. I learn a ton from our LPs and investors as well. A lot of them are, for lack of a better term, titans in their own industry that are in this position to passively invest in real estate, and they have a wealth of information to offer. So I think having that syndication side of the business has been one of the most phenomenal things for me in my own growth and the growth of the company. It's been amazing.
you've done a lot in a couple of years. Holy cow. That's what I'm saying. I'm sitting here like I need to step up my game after listening to the story. So, but again, that's why I wanted to have you on, because it is frankly inspirational for other people that are listening to this. A lot of people want to get into storage and they're just kind of like, oh, what do I do? Just hearing stuff like that, if nothing else, kind of lights a fire in your butt to like just keep going. Just like you said, you're trying to find these sites. Sometimes it's just being consistent and persistent, frankly, of letting people know that are out there wanting to buy these locations. And sometimes it is a luck factor, just like that one you just said. Sometimes it's just be there at the right place at the right time, and the opportunity presents itself. So just because,
100%.
yeah, totally. I love stories like that. Anyways, we're gonna wrap up here for us, but so I want to one more time give another plug. So for your Pebble Ridge Capital, where do people go?
Yeah, like I said, you can find us on the website, pebbleridgecap.com. You can find me on social media and reach out or DM me there. LinkedIn and Twitter is where I'm fairly active. Faraz Hemani, you can look me up there. And then, last thing I would say as well, I'm fairly young in this journey, and I know there's a lot of people that I talk to them all the time that are thinking, hey, I want to buy my first storage facility, or I want to buy my first commercial property. And they're folks like myself in their 20s, or early 30s, looking to make that jump. And like you said, it's hard. You feel like you need to know everything before you jump in. You're not going to know everything. You can do as much homework and research as you can, but you just got to stick with it. Like, how do you get lucky? How do you find a deal where the guy needs to go buy a trucking company and, he's willing to sell you at a discount? Well, you have to go at bat 1,000 times for you to get that one stroke of luck. This market is hard. But the best quote is, the key to success, like what's the formula for success? Once it gets hard, just keep going a little bit more, because that's when most people are going to drop out. If you just keep going once it gets hard, even when it's seemingly impossible, that's pretty much the formula for success every time. So, I mean, I promise you, if I can do it, Eddie Wood can do it. I'm nothing special. I'm definitely never the smartest guy in the room or anything like that, but just stick to it and you can make it happen. I think now is one of the best times, because a lot of people are saying it's too hard and they're dropping out of the race. And so the spoils will be left to the folks who are willing to stick it out and make it happen. In a few years, you're going to look back and be like, wow, I'm so glad I stuck through it and went through this amazing buying opportunity that's here around the corner, and I made it happen.
That's a perfect message to end on. So perfect. Thanks again so much for taking the time and being on here.
Thank you so much, Jim.
All right. Talk to you later, man. See ya.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Before we wrap up, just a quick reminder. Do you want to level up your storage game? Visit theselfstorage.show.com. Grab some high-value freebies, check out top vendor spotlights, and stay in the loop with our newsletter. Do you want to chat about becoming a client with 3 Mile Storage Management? All the info's there. Plus, if you've got a story to share, we're listening. Everything you need is at theselfstorageshow.com.